The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in Kyiv. Guterres attended a press conference where he expressed his disappointment with the Security Council's inability to prevent the conflict in Ukraine.
Let me be very clear. The Security Council failed to do everything in its power to prevent and end this war. And this is a source of great disappointment, frustration and anger. Finally, let me say that in many ways we are at ground zero for the world we need to build. A world of respect for international law, the UN Charter and the power of multilateralism. A world that protects civilians. A world that advances human rights. A world where leaders live up to the values that they have promised to uphold.
And explosions were reported in Kyiv the same time the UN chief met with Zelenskyy, where the two discussed the evacuation of Ukrainian civilians stuck in Mariupol. CGTN's Zhou Jiaxin has the details.
And to the people of Ukraine,
UN Chief Antonio Guterres on Thursday called for a complete ceasefire in Ukraine, assuring Kyiv that he is doing everything possible to save people in Mariupol, where thousands of civilians need vital assistance.
Effective humanitarian corridors, local cessations of hostilities, safe passage for civilian and supply routes. Today, the people of Mariupol are in desperate need for just such an approach.
The Secretary-General said Moscow had agreed in principle to involve the UN in the evacuation of people from the Azovstal plant after its meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin early this week. President Zelenskyy stressed his country is ready for urgent talks to evacuate people from the besieged Mariupol and now counts on UN support. 2 missile attacks in downtown Kyiv were reported shortly after the meeting.
This conflict will end when not by meetings, but when Russia decides to stop the fighting.
Before his meeting with Zelenskyy, the Secretary-General on Thursday visited Borodyanka, Bucha and Irpin, where Russian forces have allegedly killed civilians and caused widespread destruction.
I imagine my family in one of those houses that is now destroyed and black. I see my granddaughters running away in panic, part of the family eventually killed.
UN chief described what he saw on the outskirts of Kyiv as unacceptable in the 21st century, and he said civilians are always paying the high price. He also appeals to Russia's side to cooperate with the International Criminal Court, and the worst of crimes is the war itself. Zhou Jiaxin, CGTN, Irpin.